get a little dark.
Thank you all so much for continuing to be family to the ACLU of Louisiana, and I can only imagine how difficult it is for you to come back to this state, right? The place where you lost your son and your brother, and to bear witness again to the pain that this place has caused. And it's a grateful spirit and a courageous spirit, an indomitable spirit that actually allows, I think, you to come back and to speak truth to power, which you continue to do over and over again. Our friends, Miss Mona and Danelle and Alana and Ronald's daughter have come to Louisiana many times when we've called and asked them to come and support our work, whether it be in the legislature, whether we've been protesting in Baton Rouge, whether we've just been in fellowship at Dickey's Chase, wherever it is, you've answered our call. So we intend to walk with you in this process through the end. And so, I think this is a really wonderful time to open up to our audience for our story collection portion of the night. Thank you for hanging in there with us through the program and really giving us your full undivided attention. We really appreciate it. We know it's a Monday night. We know it's 7:30. If you haven't had a little bite to eat, please go out and get something so that you can participate in this really important last portion of our program. I'll say this, we're not just asking for people to give an account if they've had an experience, a direct experience with LSP, but even if you'd like to just share your story, share a story of overcoming, a story that is related to your relationship with law enforcement in Louisiana. We'd welcome all of that at this point, because we've all been talking from the stage. ACLU, you've heard our voices, you've heard the voices of the DOJ, but honestly, this night is about you, right? This night is about you and how much resistance, right, and how much strength and courage we can muster to fight a very, very powerful system. And we do know, though, that when we fight together, we win. And so we have to continue to lift our voices. So if there are folks in this space that want to talk about their experience with the police, yes, you can fill out your card. Your story matters. Now, those are some nice cards, I have to say. Your story matters. Those story matters cards, please fill those out. A couple of people have already filled them out. Is that right? Okay. And so Stephanie's going to acknowledge all folks who have filled out cards, and if you haven't filled one out but you want to come up, feel free to come on up, and then we can get your card filled out and make sure that you have an opportunity to be heard. We're ready to hear from you. Thank you so much.
The first person that we have who would like to speak during tonight's town hall is Carl Cavalier.
Good evening. My name is. Just say that I have documents that I don't think state police will hand over to DOJ. You have to be someone on the inside to have inside information to get these documents. So I'm gonna turn it over to the DOJ and also email it to them and things like that. But I think the young lady is gone. She spoke of sexual harassment and rape and all those things like that. And within state police. I have a lengthy story behind this, so I'm hoping y'all grant me the time. But within state police, there's a list of EEOC complaints from 2009, 2006, all the way up to the present day. List of names of victims of sexual harassment complaints. The importance of this paper right here, I think one, is that Louisiana State Police probably will not turn this over to DOJ Two, there was a lady EEOC officer named Carol Tillman. Carol Tillman, up until recent, as far as the current Colonel Lamar Davis taking office, she left around that time that he entered. And here's the story behind that. Carol Tillman and Kathy Williams were legal analysts within state police. They were the doorkeepers to all these complaints coming into the office. So when the complaints would come in, apparently they were whitewashing the complaints. And here how I arrived at this information. There's a black guy, Byron Sam. He works in EEOC as well. When Lamar Davis took office, he went into Lamar's office and handed him a stack of papers like these and told him, hey, Lamar, EEOC officer Carol Tillman has been whitewashing these complaints since she's been in this position. And Lamar Davis apparently reacted and opened his own little investigation into Carol Tillman. Well, Carol Tillman took off of work for a long time, took off of work for a good little while. When she came back to work, she retired abruptly. So I took my hat off to Colonel Davis on the end of addressing it somehow, some way, whatever way he did. But on the other end of it, what happens to all these complaints that were filed? What happens to all these complaints that were whitewashed and never properly investigated? You know, you have all these people who probably still employed there, most of them, and some are retired, you know, went away without any type of form of justice, and also sending a message to all other employees to say, hey, don't speak up, don't say nothing. I don't care if you're getting raped, sexually harassed, discriminated against, you know, don't say nothing because this is what's going to happen. So I talked to Lamar Davis about that. I talked to Lieutenant Colonel Van Buren about that, and they say, hey, we're going to look into it, or hey, have those people call me. That's a joke. Why would those people call you and they don't feel safe? They didn't feel like their complaint was properly investigated in the first place. So I want to hand that over to DOJ, and I think that's very important along the lines of pattern and practice. That's the foundation of it. That's literally the foundation of it. And another thing I wanted to move on to, so I'll hand those documents over to those guys. But as far as blacks being punished harshly within Louisiana State Police, you have troopers on the job right now that's still calling and texting me, or complaining about how they're being treated or what's going on. Even with a black colonel, the agenda is still the same. The business is still business as usual at Louisiana State Police. One other inside concern I just got maybe yesterday, day before yesterday, from the guys on the inside, speaking about the citizens being concerned about reporting things. One of the guys on the inside is saying that DOJ, and this is not me, don't shoot the messenger, right? So DOJ is retrieving information from Louisiana State Police by way of saying, hey, State Police, we're investigating you. This is the information that we want from you. You have until so-and-so date to give us the information. The problem with that is, if I go and investigate you for a crime, I'm not going to tell you, hey, the information that I need or the potential evidence that I need you to prepare it for me. What you get to do with that information? You get to possibly manipulate that information. State police has already proven that they can't police themselves. They shouldn't be able to police themselves, right? So not accusing you guys, but this is people from the inside calling me and telling me, hey, you're going here, we need you to present this information, because if they do, they probably end up where I'm at right now. So I just wanted to get that over to you guys as well. I'm just going down my list, so excuse me if I ramble a little bit. Okay, more inside information from guys on the inside and currently working in LSP. It said DOJ may be unaware of a server that is at OTS, downtown Baton Rouge. There's a boatload of data on the server, an old server, from the watch guard body cameras or in-car cameras that we had, not body cameras, in-car cameras that we had. It's an old watch guard camera. Well, apparently the rank and file at State Police was unaware that the watch guard had a server, and it was sending GPS data and video data to that server with all type of video and information on it. So pattern and practice, that's foundational too, to pattern and practice. This ain't just, rambling and just things that I don't know of. This is things that, the people who working in these departments have firsthand knowledge of. So that server is sitting there waiting to be whatever, looked at, information is being taken from it, or whatever you guys may need off it. So that can, help majorly in the pattern and practice thing as well. I guess before I leave, I just want to say, I know the question and answer phase is over with, but I think it's important to know, I know there's not a time limit to the investigation because things takes time, but understand that this family hasn't had a chance to properly grieve yet, and it's been 3 years, and we're just now getting DA Belton, who's just in time for votes for the AG spot. We finally get him to present to a grand jury now next month, and that's not promised to have any promising results to him as well. So they still don't get the chance to grieve. But as far as the time limit on the you guys' investigation, we're hoping it's not 3 years. We're hoping it's not another year before a major update. I mean, a major update as far as the improvements you guys have made to your investigation, progress, and all those things like that. I think the public will want to hear that, and I think that will give the public some confidence to come forward with their stories, and also a better job at keeping people like that, using our tax dollars to come monitor us, keep them out as well. So I think that's the gist of what I wanted to talk about, but I think it's very important for us to, if they were using our tax dollars, let's find out about that, just show the public that we're making meaningful effort at trying to do something that's worthwhile, I think.
I have a question.
Yep.
When you were employed with the state police, did you ever speak out to the colonel and administration about the incident before going public? And if so, when you spoke out, or if you spoke out, what was said to you from the administration when you did it?
Okay, when I first spoke out, it was 2020. The year was 2020. It was in the middle of COVID, and I was stationed in New Orleans at the convention center, and I spoke to State Representative Edmund Jordan, member of the Black Caucus. When I spoke to him, I gave him a letter that detailed some things about Ronald Green, some details about black troopers being treated, more harshly, being punished more harshly than the counterparts, the white troopers. I spoke out to Edmund Jordan. He in turn gave my letter and my concerns to the governor. The governor in turn asked Edmund Jordan to ask me, what do I want to happen? And I said, I want everything to be thoroughly investigated, and I want the governor to come out and address this thing publicly. I never heard anything back from Edmund Jordan with the Black Caucus. I never heard anything back from the governor on that. So I spoke to Edmund Jordan, the governor, and also went to my rank and file as well. And here I am today,
Has the colonel said anything to you to keep your mouth closed? You shouldn't say
chop wood and carry water. Worry about yourself. Don't try to, address the problems of everybody else. Just worry about yourself. Chop wood and carry water. So that's why I say it's business as usual at Louisiana State Police, as you can see. Bringing undercovers in here to monitor what we're saying. I just don't see. I don't know why. I don't know why. Say it again. Yeah, I do, and I can give the name. I don't want to put it on the camera because I think he's undercover, and maybe he works some active undercover cases. I don't want to get him, shot up or anything like that, So, but I'm all for giving the name. I give the name right away.
Can you comment about the brutal hazing procedure of the academy? They beat the cadets?
Yeah, beating the cadets with
Did that go to the emergency room because that was part of your initiation to be a trooper? You had to be beaten.
I was never beaten in my academy. But I heard about the sock and the soap in the sock situation. It didn't happen in my academy, so I can't sit here and say it did. But as one of the few blacks in the academy, shoot, man, we had it hard. It was on top of our head. As a matter of fact, almost all the guys who were arrested and fired were in my academy. Jacob Brown, can't think of them off my head, but about 4 more other guys were all in my academy, hiding tobacco in the ceiling, hiding candy. but you catch a black trooper candidate in the academy who forget to wash his clothes or forget his clothes at home. They send him home right quick. But yeah. If there's no more questions, I appreciate you guys for your time.
Just a response to the question about timing. We can't speak to anything related to any criminal investigations, but civil pattern or practice investigations that we do take time. And an agency this size and the issues that we're looking at, it could take a year or more, but you will see us out here, and we will be present during that time until we finish our investigation. And thank you for coming here tonight and sharing that information.
We have a person who didn't completely fill out a card, so I don't want to put this person's complete information out there, but it's an individual by the last name of YA. So if you did want to speak out publicly, now is the opportunity to do so, and if not, then you can leave. Did you want to speak publicly? Okay, so now I can put out your full name. I didn't want to, okay. We have Ashanta Wyatt, who would like to make a public statement.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to speak to two issues, and one of them is going to mirror what Major Tracy Riley had to say earlier about the relationship between our local sheriffs and the Louisiana State Police. One of the instances that I want you to be aware of is Kevin Robinson is a resident of Jefferson Parish. He's no longer alive because they killed him by a compressional asphyxia. His death was ruled a homicide by the coroner. While he was under investigation with the Jefferson Parish Police Office, he was hired by the Louisiana State Police. When Louisiana State Police hired him, I reached out personally to LSP to ask them if it is their protocol to hire killers, because he killed that man. And I don't even know if the case has been resolved right now to this day, but what the guy that I spoke to, I think his last name is Chavez, C-H-A-V-E-Z, I want to say. Yes, that's his name. He basically told me that he wasn't charged with the crime, and that because he wasn't charged with the crime, they didn't have any protocols in place to stop him from being employed by LSP. I think that's a problem. If you're actively being investigated for murder, I don't think that you should just transfer from one police entity to another. That's a problem. And I think it speaks to the culture of policing, particularly in this state, because this is where I live, but nationally, but here in Louisiana, it speaks to a culture of policing, particularly communities that look like mine, with the force simply because people are fleeing from them. That doesn't warrant a death sentence. There should be charges brought against people who flee, and you should have your day in court. But these officers, much like the ones who were masquerading here as people concerned, they come to protest and they come to community meetings to intimidate people. And so that's a problem. And I also think it's a problem that there's nobody really holding sheriffs accountable to anything. They kind of run ramshot in communities and there's no accountability for them. So if you could spare some people, you need to have a pattern and practice investigation into the sheriff's offices that surround these parishes, particularly Jefferson and Plaquemines Parish, because they sit on the outskirts of Orleans. And so the residents and citizens in Orleans won't even travel to certain parishes around our community because they fear police. That's a problem. And so that was the first thing. The second thing with the Plaquemines Parish Sheriff's Office, and speaking to the issue of the relationship between sheriffs and LSP, there are some children who are currently being charged for riding ATVs in Plaquemines Parish. I happen to represent the families of all three of the children involved. One of them is young as 12. He was stumped out by a police officer in Plaquemines Parish because he was riding a dirt bike and he didn't stop for the police officer. He received a concussion and a broken leg from a K-9 officer. I don't know why a K-9 officer would be involved in a traffic stop, but this is what they're doing to black children in Plaquemines Parish. They're bringing dogs to assist with traffic stops. And so the issue I'm having with Louisiana State Police is when the sheriff of Plaquemines came out and said that one of the children intentionally tried to murder the police officer with his ATV, the public just believed it because that's what the sheriff was saying. And he said it over and over and over. When I became involved in the case, I simply asked for the in-car dash camera or the body camera footage. And so I was contacted by the Louisiana State Police because at this point they had taken over the investigation. And I was told that I could see the video. So they asked me to come to their office, and I did. And it was in that office where Louisiana State troopers stood in front of me with 3 Plaquemines Parish officers all together in a line, and they told me the same exact story. The child took his ATV and purposely ran into the officer and tried to kill him. But they didn't show me the camera. And so it wasn't until we were able to attain some legal defense for these children that we were able to get access to the body camera, and we were able to present the footage to the public that the charges were dropped from attempted first-degree murder to aggravated battery because the footage showed us that the officer ran in front of the ATV. But my question to you is, how did Louisiana State Police see the same footage I saw, and they came to the conclusion that the Plaquemines Parish office said that the child tried to murder the police officer? You have to understand, in a climate where our governor is trying to send children to Angola, that we cannot count on the Louisiana State Troopers to govern themselves. Because what we've learned is whatever the sheriffs in these communities say is what Louisiana State Troopers are going to echo, and that's a problem. And we can't have faith in driving on our roadways in our communities nor on our state highways when we have killers with badges who can murder and just simply cover it up. Rest in peace to your son, right? So what happened to Ronald Green is just a microcosm of what's happening nationally to black men at the hands of police officers. So I don't think this pattern and practice is exclusive to LSP. I think you may realize that this is just the way they do business. And the blue wall is very, very real. And somebody and anybody ought to protect this man with the power of whatever officers you have, because I believe they will murder him, because that's just what they do. And I also believe one of the officers who helped to murder this woman's son should not be buried with the honors that they buried him when he was a murderer. And he ran into that tree to avoid accountability. His wife should not be living off of his pension that comes out of our tax dollars because he's a killer. So she just needs to accept that fact and go get her job, and that's just how I feel. But that's my question to you. How do we have faith in a system that doesn't seem to have a line that stops malfeasance? Because if sheriffs are doing it and they're being backed by LSP, and LSP is backed by a governor, then where do we go? Right? So when you speak about pattern and practice, I want transparency and truth. That's what I want. That's all.
Next we have Khadijah Rashid.
Yes. Hello, good evening. I'm Khadijah Rashad. Ms. Green, you have my deepest sympathy. Mr. Cavalier, you are definitely a hero. I'm an activist out in Iberia Parish, Lafayette Parish. This past Sunday, yesterday, we done a program and we highlighted your son on the program with what the state troopers had done. We also had Mr. Cavalier that was on the telephone explaining so eloquently like he explained what really happened, and we really appreciate that. I wanted to say that the Black Caucus was here in Lafayette, Louisiana, and they wanted to hear from the community about what is it that we having problems with, and they gave us out some pamphlets like this. Some pamphlets like this, we looked through the pamphlets, and one of the questions that I asked them was that, what do the Black Caucus actually do? What type of power do y'all have? I said, because Senator Kennedy just got through from making this ridiculous commercial about y'all want to defend the police officer, but when y'all need help, call a crackhead. Well, my response to that on TV, my response to that on the radio and in front of the Black Caucus was the fact that even though some of our family members may be on drugs or may be a crackhead, I'd rather call them than to call Louisiana State troopers to come and help me out. I asked the Black Caucus, what is it that they're doing on behalf of Mr. Ronald Green? So one of the gentlemen, the tall gentleman, nice looking, he tells me that, you know, we needed to have funding before we could continue to investigate. However, I have good news. We just received $100,000 to continue the funding on Mr. Ronald Green. And so the investigation is going to come on. Now, this is just 2 weeks ago that he told me this. Also, when the sister mentioned about the sheriffs and the district attorney are some of the most despicable people in existence. We had one of our sheriffs out in New Iberia. Sid Abel. He released tear gas over the Mardi Gras parade goers, and the tear gas affected over 500 people. That's what Sid Abel. Under Sid Abel, we had Louis Acker. Louis Acker, who was able to retire from all of the things that he done in the black community, from the TNC call, which the TNC call mean that, oh, it's a typical nigger call. So, you know, you take your time, you break down things, you do whatever you have to do, because that's all it is. You know, and they would go down and would break up in people's homes. We have Tommy Romero, and it's just white men in these positions that do what they want, when they want, and how they want. My grandson right here, Raymond Shahibani, he was arrested by Iberia Parish Sheriff for child support, for child support. He was in arrears of $5,000, and we were paying on his child support. However, he get arrested, goes to Iberia Parish Jail, and he had been in there for like maybe about a week. So the next week, that was that Tuesday, because I was at a parish council meeting. He was getting out that Thursday. Those low-down dogs, they took and they killed my grandson and claimed that it was suicide. It was murder by suicide. So he left 4 babies behind, 4 babies. And today's like I said, today was Tuesday. That Thursday we had gathered up enough money to get him out and get the call that he was dead. And so all I'm trying to say, and what I'm going to continue to say, is that we have the power in our voice. We have to talk and connect with each other. Whenever you're doing something, please let me know. I want to attend. Brother Jay, Sister Judy, we left since 3:30 to get over here. With traffic and everything, but we said we had to be over here. We called Mr. Victor White, who's right here, who's gonna talk, to tell him the DOJ is here. We got to go and let them know what's going on in our communities. They're the one that killed his son. You know, so he's here to tell his testimony. But what I want to say is that God gave us the strength to talk about these animals, and and to just talk about it. How do you just kill people when they're begging you for their life? How do you just beat a young man to the core? And he leaves 4 children behind that I'm 63. We gotta help raise. That don't make any sense. And I wanna thank y'all so much. But the 16 JDC right there in Lafayette. The 17 JDC right there, 16 JDCs in New Iberia, Louisiana. The 17 JDCs in Lafayette. I took and I sent packets of things to the FBI for years and years, and they didn't do jack anything. So again, I want you to say that we are pleased to be here. We are pleased to be here, and y'all actually have to do something, because when something else is going to break out, we want to make sure that it's going to be on equal footing. On equal footing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The courage in this room is tremendous. It's astounding. The next person that I have is Alana Wilson. Alana Wilson, are you here?
Good evening, everyone. I'm actually the sister of Ronald Green. I wasn't going to say anything, but I felt led to. When my brother was murdered for driving while being black, it's been over 3.5 years, and they still can't tell us why he pulled him over. He was tased immediately while sitting behind the wheel, pleading for his life. I'm scared, I'm sorry. I'm your brother. He was my oldest brother. He loved everyone. He would give you a car. He would give you the clothes off his back. That's just the person he was. They beat him. They tased him. They beat him in the head with the billy club. They robbed him, literally stole money out of his wallet. He went to the hospital and they said he had a lot of money on him. We knew he did because he just sold everything he had to move back to Orlando. He was leaving the very next day. And the people at the hospital said he had a lot of money on him. So when they called us and said, you need to come get his things. We have his ID, we have his social security card. These are the things you're gonna need. Every call, no matter who it was, just like this young lady said, they're all in cahoots. Their first question to us was, where are you at? They wanted to see if we were still in the state. He was murdered. They didn't even give us a chance to look at the body. They immediately sent him to Arkansas. Why in the hell do you need to send this man to another state? I know why, to get rid of the evidence. Body, missing organs. We called the coroner's office. Keep him alive, keep his body. He's good, he's gonna be safe, his body's gonna be preserved. And then within 7 days, they're telling us you need to get him out. He's stinking up the whole building. Body decaying, evidence is gone. This is how they operate. Disgusting. No matter what we said, no matter what the family's demands were, they disregarded it. Literally. It went from us coming to get him to him having $130, and then next thing you know, $200 more show up. More money would show up. Taking money out of his account, taking all the cash he had on him. These are the people with a badge that's supposed to be protected and serving us. They call it nigger night, where they go out and kill us because of the color of our skin. I was here since I was the age of 6. I knew growing up, you don't run from them. When we left, we thought we would never come back. And my mom told them, don't go there, don't go there. We all knew that you didn't want to get stopped by the police here. My brother did not have his day in court. They shackled him from his hands to his legs, drug him on his stomach, would not let him sit up, said this MF better not have AIDS. The lieutenant on staff said, don't sit him up then. So he sat there and died, moaning, throwing up on his own blood, can't even breathe. These are the people we got to protect and serve. So I just wanted to do what I know he would have done for me. You got a voice, use it. What else can they do to us? They think they're getting away with it, but trust me, Judgment Day is coming. And they're gonna have to answer for all this dirty crap that they're putting all of us through for no reason. I was angry for a long time. But the truth of the matter is, if you don't say nothing, they don't know nothing. They don't have no idea what we go through. My son is in college. Not until recently, I'm comfortable with him driving his own car. For years, because all he has is white friends. You let them drive your car, you send me a picture of their ID. I need to know who's driving your car. He couldn't even drive his car. Thank God he's not a partier. He doesn't go out. He loves the Lord. He goes to church and he comes home. He loves video games. And I thank God for that, because I know he's safe. Then again, I couldn't say that. Breonna Taylor wasn't safe. Tatiana Ali wasn't safe. At home playing a video game with her nephew, and they came in, killed her. Black young lady trying to be a physician, gone too soon. So for those sitting out here spectating and wanting to know what we're going through, you have no idea. You can't run and tell our story like we can. And shame on you for thinking you can sit in here and monitor us when we need to be the ones monitoring you. It's disgusting. But I'm going to continue to pray for you, and I hope you pray for me and my family, if your prayers go up. Good evening.
Next person I would like to call up is Sandra Sterling. Thank you so much, Alana.
Hello, my name is Sandra Sterling. I'm the auntie of Alton Sterling. So I drove down here because I really didn't know what to expect, but I'm gonna speak on Alton, who was murdered in 2016. In 2016, Alton Sterling was murdered by a coward. The mayor didn't call, the chief didn't call, the police chief didn't call, and some leaders stood with me only to create Blue Lives Matter. The chief who trained the killer is now on the sheriff's level at our sheriff's department. 3 years later, the killer should have never been. The new police chief told me 3 years later that the killer should have never been hired. He was hired through nepotism. The DOJ gave me flowers that day. I came down. They gave me flowers. They gave me a hug and told me, sorry for your condolences. But because Solomon didn't call Alton a nigger, ain't nothing we could do. We got up, me and my sisters got up, and we walked out. We never went back in, because I don't have faith in the DOJ. How many times do I have to say this? I have black sons. Not 1, 2, but I lost a nephew through the police. So as a matter of fact, I got to say I care. So when that golden heart stopped beating, that dreadful night, that killer should have took. God, please forgive me for thinking that way. But that's just how I feel.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sandra. Now I would like to call Reverend Victor Whites. And if anyone else would like to speak, please feel free to fill out a card here, and I'd be more than happy to take.
Thank y'all. Good evening. My name is Reverend Victor White Sr. My son is Victor White III. He was killed in New Iberia by Lewis Apple and the henchmen. So, my son was actually, they say, involved in a fight at a hopping store on Lewis Street. And so they said someone called it in, and when Iberia Parish Sheriff's Department came, they got my son and supposedly asked him his name and all that, which none of that occurred. Then they accused him of having drugs and all this. And the thing is, they got us they said that he was handcuffed behind his back with hinged handcuffs. And they say he shot himself in the right side of his chest while still handcuffed behind his back. Later on, about 6 months later, when the coroner's report come out, it said they said he was shot in the back. The coroner's report said he was shot in the right side of his chest. We get no explanation, and they said it was suicide. So, and you know, and as the story go on, and the Louisiana State Police supposed to have been investigated, right? They didn't investigate. They just took the word of a crook that used to work for the Louisiana State Police right in this area. See, and he said, you know, and you want to ask how I have first-hand information, right? How I have it is because I did some work there. See, on Hopkins Street, right? The center that was put there, we were there and we were trying to do some things. And so, again, with the Louisiana State Police supposed to have been investigating, my son had a pocket full of money. And how I know that? Because I talk to my son every day. I talk to him every day, and I talked to him that Sunday night. And he was looking at a car. So I asked him, when I went to go pick up his belongings from, part of it was at the state police, and the other part was at the Iberia Parish Jail. And so that was strange because they said that he was taken to the jail, but then when we get video, they told us had no video. Talked to the Louisiana State Police, and they kept saying that they didn't have video, then come to find out there was a video. So then there was this gun that we still to this day know nothing about a gun. They found, my other son had a phone, and they said they identified the gun. So I asked the state police, I asked them, did they see the gun, and they told me no. They said they did not see the gun, but they said that there was some markings on a gun that was in my other son's phone. And that's what they said, that, you know, that how he killed himself. And again, we searched and talked to them, and the sheriff, again, the sheriff made it clear to us and my family that wasn't nothing going to happen to him. Even when DOJ came down and investigated him, he told me he'll shoot him right between his eyes.
Yes.
His motherfucking Jewish eyes, that was his words.
Yes. Okay, now go ahead.
That was his words. And the same thing when we talked to them, we know that they were working hand in hand with the Louisiana State Police. Because my son had over $3,000 in his pocket, and I talked to him. When I went to go pick up the money, they had it in the in this pouch thing. Well, I wanted it, they didn't give it to me. The jailer took my son's wallet out, and when I grabbed it, they pulled it back, and they gave me his wallet, and it had two $100 bills in there. Yeah, two $100 bills, the other was $191. My son never carried money in his wallet. He always carried it in his pocket. So when I said that, they went to the back. They took that and went to the back and came back up with another $100 bill. See, and so when I went to, again, talk to the state police, and we wasn't getting any answers. We never got any answers. No one actually really talked to us from state police, and so, and as we continue, right? So Justin Ortiz, who murdered my son, right? So he gets to kill my son in Iberia Parish and go to Youngville and on the police force in Youngville, right? No matter how we go, and we turn around and Louis Apple, he gets to go to the trial, yes, and do all that. And I went and I looked after the first day. After the first day of sitting in there, I already knew what was going to happen. And here's the thing that lets me know that he was well connected, because we know his cousin was the judge in Lafayette. So he's sitting in the courtroom dipping. This is Louis Apple. Sitting in the courtroom dipping and spitting it in a cup. And the judge is sitting there and they can see just like I can see. And since ain't nothing happened there, then I knew that the Louisiana State Police, all of them worked together. All of them would do it, because he was just terrorizing. And I used to live on Lombard Street. And I'll say this about Hurricane Gustav. I lived on Lombard. And the officers came, and I was standing, when he declared martial law, I was standing on my own property. And young officer came and told me to get my motherfucking ass on my porch. And I told him, sir, I didn't ask you to come here, so I called Louis Apple. Because again, I said I was doing some things like that. I called Louis Apple. And I was telling him, so the officer, he could hear this officer say, I don't give a damn if you call him Barack Obama. Yeah, you heard what I tell you to do. And I said that. And you know, when I went to talk to him after that, he told me, you know, that I chewed him up one side of his ass to the other side. And I said, wait, that's not fit. You know, so, and all these things I have reported and talked to the Louisiana State Police, because this was going on, and then had some other people that wanted to say things, and the Louisiana State Police, they were intimidated by them. I mean, I'm saying as far as Opelousas, Louisiana, and I was, you know, they would go there, they intimidated those individuals so they wouldn't come forward anymore. Because some individual was in the jail with my son. But that night, my son never made it to the jailhouse. But still his belongings ended up at the jailhouse, and part of his belongings ended up with the state police. But you know, we can see, they talking about the pattern and practice, right? Well, they work together. They work hand in hand. You know, again, whatever they do, and even with the DA, someone said that even with the DA, that's why Phil Haney didn't want to do anything. When Phil Haney could have done something at the time he was in there, he allowed it to continue. Because again, he worked with them as well. See, and so every time we look at these killings in the state of Louisiana, we see that when they bring in the Louisiana State Police, they should never be brought in. How are the police going to police themselves when they steal the police and all of them crooked? See, that's the other part that we don't, you know, I guess on my side, my son been dead for 8 years. 8 years, and we still, to this day, we have no closure. None, because I know my son did not commit suicide. And you factor that in with the Louisiana State Police and the Sheriff's Department and all those other entities, right? And then when you got to look at the coroner, because he did the same thing. He worked hand in hand. He said that he knew my son he said he knew my son probably could have took his hand and shot himself in there, and they said my son was right-handed. No, sir, my son left-handed. I had to prove to them that my son was left-handed. Why would I have to prove it? Now, but I had to prove to them, and a lot of stuff, that's why the Louisiana police didn't do it. I did myself. I had to go find information and take it to the Louisiana police, and just for them to not do anything with it. The kids that saw the incident, when I go to them to tell them that, they didn't do anything. They said they have somebody looking into it. And all they was trying to do was stall, and just put us and think that we was going to go away, and we're not going to go away. And that's why I know it takes all of us to come together. So therefore, the individuals that are doing all the dirt and the dirtiness, and yet and still nothing is happening. See, we are still disturbed by the way that it's going right now, even though that we say all the videos, all the other stuff coming out, nothing has changed, y'all. Nothing has changed because nothing has happened to them at the top. Oh, and the governor, I'm going to mention that, then I'm going to go sit down. The governor, right, the governor, well, when I talked to the governor about what was going on, the governor told me there was nothing that he could do because Louis Ackel is an elected official. That's what I was told by it. And matter of fact, so even going to the office and telling that, that's what we was told by everything. He's an elected official. There's nothing that can be done to him. And he made that clear to us as well. Like he said, he'll go to jail when pigs fly. When pigs fly, that's the message. He sent us message in Facebook, and then they did all these things. Even though, and so I took it to, even with the state police, even with the attorney general's office, well, we got nothing. We got nothing. And I'm not the only family that got nothing. See, because I'm my son's legacy. And my son should have been burying me, and I shouldn't have been burying my son. And yet and still, it still goes on the same way because the fight still continues today, but the state police, y'all, are still doing the same thing. And then they're being assisted by the sheriffs and by the DAs in order to get away with what they're getting away with. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much, Reverend. As of this time, I don't have any other cards on me, so I believe that may be, yes, so sorry. Mr. Cavalier.
Just very briefly, I know I see you guys jotting notes down, so I just want a few more notes in reference to pattern and practices. We currently in state police, they currently have body cam video of Joaquin Machado. These are unheard of cases. Joaquin Machado, February 3rd, 2019. That's prior to Ronald Green, of course. 5/10 of 19. Aaron Bowman, 5/30/19. Morgan Blake, 7/16 of 19. Antonio Harris, 5/20/20. There's another black guy by the last name of Gusman. I believe his name is Troop G Troopers. It's his own body cam, and it's verified by troopers within the agency who've seen the body cam and the audio. The guy who murdered himself, Hollisworth, the trooper who murdered himself, Hollisworth, his body cam was running, and another guy's body cam was running while they were beating on a black guy, and you could hear one of the white troopers say, "What is wrong with you, nigga? What is wrong with you, nigga?" while they're beating on him. So his last name is, the black guy's name is Gusman, his last name is Gusman. So just along the line, just key points of pattern and practices. A nigga night was a real thing. The guys really were saying, hey, typing on the state's computer, hey, it's tonight nigga night. It's tonight, the night we go hunt. I want to make another point, just to the public and my older generation. Amongst my friends and amongst my peers, the younger generation, we would like to reach out to our older generation and ask to, when we're asking for something, just ask for it, but don't beg. We don't want to be any beggars and pleaders. We don't want to, shed too many tears because we've been doing this for too many years now. We just tired of seeing it. We're tired of hearing the begging and the pleading. It's trying to get me to shut up or chop wood and carry water. the lady that left, she asked me, was I scared? Did I fear for my life? I didn't even stop to even think about that. You know, I didn't even stop to think about that. I mean, I don't fear nobody. You know, I don't fear nobody. So it is what it is. I have the same training they have. You know, so you know, whatever they want it to be, it can be. You know. So.